here in Austin, Texas. I've got Rob Smedley. Howdy.
Hi.
Well, shall we go for a wander in the garage?
Yeah.
And see what's going on. See, Pat Simmons here, a former Williams man. Rob, you're walking really quickly here. Sophie with the camera's struggling.
Right.
So, this weekend, are you looking forward to it? What's Austin going to be like for Williams and the pecking order of good and bad circuits?
I hope good, to be honest. You know, the upgrades that we've brought to the car in the recent races, we're constantly learning about them, and I think that, you know, on paper they're definitely going to work better here and in Mexico. So, you know, it's effectively going to be another little step forward for us. We've then got more, you know, new upgrades which we're bringing here, which should find us a little bit of time again. So we're constantly evolving, even at this stage of the season. You know, we've got ourselves into a good place in the championship now with the work that's been done, you know, both here at the track and at the factory, and it's just up to us now not to drop the ball and to carry on and maintain that fifth position.
Yeah, I mean, Felipe had quite a good race in Suzuka, wasn't he? And I mean, obviously Lance had the tyre failure. Now, with the hindsight of time, have you been able to understand what happened with Lance there? Because it was a bit unusual, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what happened with Lance was there was a really specific problem in that the front, the wheel nut became loose as the running went on. Now, on Formula One cars, now we have what's called a wheel nut retention device exactly for that reason. And do you want me to hold that while you turn your phone off? Yeah. And the wheel nut retention device did its job. It held the wheel on. But unfortunately, it kind of spat him off because it was wobbling against the face where we usually bolt the wheel up to, and eventually it failed, and then and he retired at that point. It was a really unfortunate race because he'd done well up until that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we got fans here for the pit lane walkabout. You know, this is a good venue to come to, isn't it? I think it's a city that most people really enjoy coming to. And as a circuit, I think it's one of the better new circuits, isn't it?
It's a really good circuit. You know, I think what they did was, rather than trying to invent something new all the time with all of the new circuits that we've got, what this circuit did was it just took the best of old-fashioned circuits, you know, some real old-school circuits, and combined them, and you got, you know, like Sector 1, for example, is just a carbon copy of.
Well, should we go this way? And you can see the hill up to turn 1. I mean, it's a hell of a gradient, really, isn't it? And it's quite hard, I think, for people at home on the television to appreciate just how steep that is. But are you going to be running the track later?
I will. I ran it yesterday, and it's quite hard work running up there, at my age at least. So, yeah, it is. I mean, you probably can't get the perspective from where you are here, but as the cars go up that hill, it's that steep. Yeah. That even though they're flat out, so that the wide open throttle, 100% throttle, the cars actually slow down because it's so steep, which means that they can brake later, which means that there's some funky overtaking into that corner. The track's very wide and there's lots of different lines. It's a really nicely designed circuit, and hopefully we'll benefit from that.
And obviously it's a back-to-back to Mexico straight from here, so let's talk about the, because it's a tough month, isn't it? You know, we're coming. It's 5 races, all flyaways in 7 weeks. How's the mood in the garage and the engineer's office? It's a long old month, this.
Yeah, it is. It is a long month, and you can't get around the fact that, you know, there's we all start to annoy and hate each other after a while. But, you know, we've got a real good bunch. You know, mechanics, technicians, engineers. You know, that's really a major part of my job, to make sure that everybody's happy and in a good place, and they're all getting a little bit of downtime as well as working really hard. You've got to find that balance. And coming somewhere like here, you know, that it's a good place. You know, you've got some really nice restaurants that the guys can get themselves to on a night. You'll often find in places like here, Montreal, where there's a city.
The Rob Smedley fan club.
Yeah, all one of them. You'll often find in places like here where there's a city, the guys get the cars finished really quickly, so they can. And it's always strange that it always surprises me. But, you know, if they get a bit,
it doesn't happen in Sochi, does it?
It doesn't happen in Sochi. No, usually we're there till about midnight every night in Sochi. I don't know what the correlation is, but there you go. There is a correlation. But, you know, if the guys, in all seriousness, if the guys get a bit of downtime, you know, if they get to see the city a little bit, then that's great. It usually means that they'll come in and work harder the next day.
So let's talk about this weekend. You know, what's the weather forecast? There's thunder showers in the vicinity all the time here, isn't it? So what are you guys seeing? And you know, how what's your plan for the weekend? Run plan, different tyres, obviously, from what we've had before. So let's talk about that briefly.
So the weekends, the format of the weekends is a little bit strange. In that, so tomorrow, practice 1 and practice 2 are at a normal kind of time. You know, 10 o'clock and then 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Saturday starts to get a little bit off-piste in that we're going to run the P3 session on the morning, and then there's apparently a huge gap.
4 hours.
4 hours gap until qualifying, which will be at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I forget all the times. And that's apparently because there's some kind of pop concert.
He's called Justin Timberlake.
Is it? Somebody told me it was the Wurzel. So
are you going to Justin Timberlake? Are you a fan?
No, I'm not a fan of Justin Timberlake.
You're going to ask the little Smedleys. Maybe they know who he is.
They will probably go. They'll probably go with the missus. But I definitely not will be staying away from Justin Timberlake.
Stevie Wonder, Sunday night?
I might go to Stevie Wonder.
I think I'll go to Stevie Wonder. I'm going to go, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. I might go to Stevie Wonder. I mean, I'm sure it's not like it was in the 70s, but
he's still quite good, I think. I saw him on YouTube on a concert recently. He's still got the voice.
Yeah, no, I think he has. Yeah, I mean, he's not as good as Justin Timberlake, but mind you, who is?
You name a Justin Timberlake song?
No, I can't. I've never heard of Justin Timberlake, to be honest. I've got no interest whatsoever in Justin Timberlake.
Right, to the weekend. So obviously Saturday is slightly unusual schedule.
Yeah.
And so how are you, I mean, for the guys, that's a longer day than normal, isn't it? But I suppose if you've got a problem in FP3, then it's better. You've got more time to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, if it works out like that, then of course that plays into your favour. I mean, what you don't want is, you know, we're so regimented in what we do during the weekend that all of a sudden when you stick 2 hours in there and people have got a chance to tinker and get bored and do stuff like that, we've just got to make sure that we kind of...
And engineers are famous for one last tweak and one more tweak, and you know, the hours you've got, they'll spend every minute thinking of something to tweak, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll fill it. You just have to make sure that we fill it with useful things which can get us some kind of advantage. But going back to the weather, or talking about the weather, you know, we may be getting some a wet session as well, possibly in P2. And again, possibly in qualifying. So there's that to throw into the mix. So there's going to be lots of things thrown at us. You know, it's a great track. A little bit of wet weather here and there. You know, slightly moved around format. Hopefully we'll deal with it all.
Excellent. Listen, we're going to leave it at that, and we will join you after FP1 here in Austin. See you then.